The episode that I chose to review for this assignment is season 1, episode 6, and it is covering the case of a long-distance sniper shooter. His name is Philip Dowd, and he is called a serial killer on the show, even though he actually only kills one person, and he just wounds several others. He wounds like over 10 people over the span of about a week or so. He goes around and kills different people from a long-distance range. The primary term that's used to describe Dowd in the show, even before they're aware of who he is exactly, is narcissistic personality disorder. And we have in our slides personality disorder marked by a broad pattern of grandiosity, need for admiration, and lack of empathy. And I do believe that that fits Dowd fairly well, except for a few key things, but I also think he may fit more of a psychopath more than a narcissist. Dowd does display signs of peer rejection, which would make sense for his antisocial traits. He is quoted saying, "You think you got it rough? These people have done nothing but undermine me since I got here." And he is a very dignified surgeon, but he's disliked by everyone, and he thinks that everyone is out to get him, which is very textbook narcissist. We learned about that in chapter 2. I see him as a individual offender, and he says it's a product of series of frustrations resulting from unmet needs. I see him as someone that has worked their whole life to be seen as a very special person, and whenever he's not liked and treated the way that he expects to be from his team at the hospital, I think that really pushed his frustration and may have caused what ended up happening, which was him snapping and then killing a lot of people. He also has the detachment from moral principles, as well as the stripping others of human qualities. I have a feeling that part of why he shot from so far away was because he did not see them as people, but I also wonder if that was a way of him like protecting himself, because he didn't have to look them in the eye when he did it. They never saw it coming. For behavioral descriptions that fit Dow, we have selfishness, inability to love or gain affection. We see that with his colleagues not taking to him at all. We have egocentricity. He is a surgeon, so he already has a little bit of a god complex naturally, and then we just see that with him feeling like he should be treated better by his colleagues, and he doesn't understand why. Unreliable, irresponsible, or unpredictable. He also has that. He was said to be late a lot, so that lack of remorse or guilt. He was laughing about it with Hotch at the end of the episode. He definitely thought it was entertaining throughout the whole episode. I also think stimulation seeking would fit him in the sense that he was a really high achiever. You know, he kept trying to probably reach some level in the world that would make him feel superior, and I think when he wasn't feeling that way enough, it probably caused a lot of frustration for him. Cool and calm under pressure would make sense as well. Even whenever he had guns pointed at him, he did not care. And also he's a surgeon, so that would check out that you have to be a very calm person. Spoke about suicide with psychopaths. He is quoted at the end of the episode saying something along the lines of, "I'm planning to leave here in like a flash of bullets." So basically he, towards the end of the episode, is essentially committing suicide because he is aware that he's not going to come out of it alive, and he's fine with that. He tries to escape at the beginning, and then when he realizes he's not going to be able to, he runs and gets his gun and just decides he's going to try to like kill as many people as he can with him, which is very true to what we discussed in class, kind of in reference to Jeffrey Epstein, where with the narcissist, when they're cornered, that's whenever they're the most desperate and when they're more likely to commit suicide, because almost like this chick is up, like this is all I got now, time to go. Another argument for why I think he more fits psychopath, you mentioned on one of the slides, the psychopathic core is a narcissistic predator, and so I think it's possible he has more psychopathic traits. I think it's possible he's a psychopath and then he has more narcissistic traits, because it says they seek the ideal prey that will fulfill their need. So he picked people in a very specific area so that whenever he shot them, they would go to his hospital, so he would be able to see them again and sort of relive the crime. So he very much picked a victim for that specific reason. In chapter 10, we discussed crime scene profiling, and I think this episode covers 4 out of the 5 main types of profiling. It definitely covers crime scene, as they visit the crime scene, psychological, they go over his psychological profile throughout the whole episode, geographical, I don't believe it does that, and then suspect-based information from previous offenders is covered because they reference cases like the DC sniper case, which I was reading online, and apparently this episode is said to be based off of the DC sniper, so that checks Something else I'd really like to mention is my argument for why I think he very much could have psychopathic traits is we mentioned that a psychopath really invests a lot of time and energy into his appearances, and Dowd, his whole life, obviously has strived to be like the most socially like productive person you could be. Like, if you think about it, what do we respect more than a doctor or a surgeon? Not very many other things. So it would make sense that that's why he was doing all of that, not because he actually had a passion for medicine, but because he wanted to be viewed a certain way. And I could see that when that didn't work out for him, he snapped. Thank you.